There's one very important skill when it comes to OnlyFans chatting that most people will say isn't teachable, and that is speed. Many people believe that chatters either have it or they don't, or that it just takes hours of practice. In this video, I'm going to run you through our entire system for getting chatters to be faster. Before we get into strategies for improving chatters' speed, we need to know how to clearly measure it. We need to know how fast our chatters currently are and how fast we want them to be. Otherwise, we're just guessing. To do that, I like to look at these three metrics for measuring speed. First one, pretty obvious, typing speed. Make them do a typing test. Make chatters do it when you hire them. Make them do it every month, just to maintain it, and they can practice if they need to. There's also reply time. How long on average it takes for a chatter to reply to a fan's message after it's been sent. To find reply time, if you use Inflow, go to Employee Statistics, and one of the columns will say reply time for scheduled hours. To actually have a reply time reading, you need to use Inflow's Employee Schedule feature. Basically put in the hours a chatter will work and what creators they'll be working on during that time. Also important to note, it can be a bit unreliable if a chatter goes and finds a message that was left unread ages ago, or if they reply to a message that was intentionally left for a while, that can throw off their reply time. So just consider that. There's also direct messages sent. Pretty obvious how many messages a chatter sends in a given time frame. This can also be found in employee statistics. So now we know what metrics we're working with, where do we actually want those metrics to be? For typing speed, I'd say that 60 words per minute is pretty good. You could expect more, like 70 or 80, that's really good, but I don't think it's entirely necessary. At 60, it's not going to be the thing holding back their speed. For direct messages sent, I would say 3.6 messages a minute or 216 messages an hour is a good range. For an 8-hour shift, that would be 1725 messages, and for a 12-hour shift, that would be 2600 messages. That's also useful as it allows you to see if a chatter is at capacity. If a chatter is sending more than that, then very likely you need to put another chatter on that cluster of creators. If they're nowhere near that, either they're way too slow or they just do not have enough traffic, maybe you could give them more. For reply time, it's a little bit weird. 3 minutes is pretty good, but again, it will depend on the account. If it's a really busy account, it's going to be a lot more prone to being unreliable. What I would look at is if chatters that are on the same account have really different reply times, that's a problem. If one chatter's got like 2 minutes and one's got 5 minutes on the same creator, same time, one of them's fucking slow. So now how do we actually improve these metrics and hit these KPIs? When we're trying to up our chatter's speed, we want to be minimizing the decisions that they make. They should be able to think less, therefore execute more. The first step in doing that is standardizing your process. Put simply, you want to look at the main interactions that a chatter will deal with during their shift. Then you want to create a rough guideline or process for each of those interactions. Now you may say, my chatters are great and they already know what to do. Maybe true, but it's not about that. It's about when it gets really busy and chaotic, if every chatter's just doing what they think is best, they're going to have to think more. But if they at least have a rough idea of where they need to be taking these conversations and you've given them tools to deal with as many people at the same time, you're going to make more money. It removes the guesswork, and by having an aligned team, you'll be able to see clearly which part of your strategy is working, which part's slowing you down, and which part is already efficient. Now, when you're trying to create a standard chatting process, there's 2 different tools that I like to use. The first is conversational frameworks. That basically acts as a rough direction for a conversation, a guideline. That's great for things where you couldn't just hard copy and paste it and have it work very well, like objection handling. That's going to be pretty difficult. It's just not hard scripted, but they know where they're taking the conversation. Then there's also message sequences, which, as you can imagine, are copy and pastable. That works great for transitions, going from small talk to sexting sequences, even conversational message sequences. If you can't be bothered having a good conversation with a subscriber and you've got half a brain, you can write out a copy and paste script about something you did, and that will work. If you use Inflow, their new message sequence feature has like conditional logic. So it'll say, if the sub says this, send this message. If they say this, send this message. So you can get pretty carried away with it. Now I will add, it can be pretty hard to know which interactions you want to create these processes for. Now for that, I've got a video called Essential Skills Training, which is the 10 most important things that a chatter should be able to deal with. If you have no idea, I would look at that and use that as a guideline on what to make the processes for. Now, in case you're not entirely clear on conversational frameworks, I put together this objection handling framework pretty quickly. Keep in mind, you'd want to have examples for each stage of the conversation. That will really help. But it's not a hard script. It's just a map for the conversation. Wait 3 minutes from when the pay-per-view has been seen. You see those 2 ticks, wait 3 minutes. Then you want to say their name with a question mark. Then proceed with 2 follow-ups every 2 minutes. Now, if they reply, or even if they don't reply after that, that's when you want to say something to remove the pressure. For example, you don't need to ignore me, I'm not scary. Then if they reply, just go on for 2 more lines without mentioning the pay-per-view. Like, don't go straight into, oh, don't you want to see what I made for you? Whatever. After that, in a friendly way, that's when you can try to uncover the objection. Just out of curiosity, why didn't you want to see that? You just want to find out why they didn't buy it. And it'll either be a value objection, content fit objection, or trust objection, and then you should have a process for how chatters deal with those. If you want that, I've got an entire video on objection handling. But you see how it's just like a roadmap for the conversation rather than say this, then say this, then say this. But you would want to include multiple examples for every stage. On the topic of minimizing decisions that slow chatters down, organize the content. If you can't find something in 30, 40 seconds, you're losing money with chatters just scrolling through looking for shit. Whatever CRM you use, Inflow, Only Monster, Creator Hero, use all of the organizational features that they give you. Labels, tags. So OnlyFans already has categories, which obviously you should be using, but use all of it. And then keep it consistent throughout the vault and ideally across each of your creators. So if you start moving chatters around, they're not gonna have to relearn how the vault works. For example, for sexting sequences, so a series of photos and videos that are taken as if they're happening live, we will put them in their own individual category. 1 sequence per category. That way it's really easy to find it. Then we'll label it using Inflow's labeling feature, first, second, third, fourth, paid, free. We'll even put a brief description of what happens in that video. Chatters should not have to watch stuff to know what order it's sent in or what happens in it. It should just be there when they look at it. Now for your pay-per-views, so other photos and videos, what we like to do is rank our vault in levels of explicitness. So we could have a tier 1, 2, 3, 4 folder, tier being least explicit, tier 4 being most explicit. For example, it could go tier 1 only shows boobs, tier 2 only shows up to pussy, tier 3 only shows up to masturbation with toys, tier 4 anal. Doesn't have to be that, but it's clearly tiered like that. That makes it really easy to find stuff and price it as well. But as well as that, you can also use multiple folders for the same piece of content if it makes it easier. Like if you had a photo set in a particular outfit, then you could put that in your tiered folder wherever each photo needs to go. But if you want the whole thing bundled up, you could also put it in another folder. It just makes it so the chatter can look up that folder in the categories and find the entire thing. If you use Inflow, tags are really helpful. Creating the tags that you can put on each piece of content in the folder, because then you can search by a tag at the top. So let's say you had a sex tape folder. You could go BG tag, blowjob tag, threesome tag. So you could like easily filter by the tag. Just do whatever you can so they can find stuff as fast as possible and not have to watch it. And one more thing about minimizing decisions. One thing that you'll find is when chatters are really trying to be as fast as possible, that's when they can let off those boring shit replies, especially when fans ask, what have you been doing? Oh, I'm in bed, I'm scrolling, not much. If you want it to be easy for chatters to have a good response to that, just give them a story per shift. So your manager or whoever is watching over the chatters, each shift just gives them something to tell fans when they're asked what they've been doing. Think of one thing. Oh, this morning I locked myself out at 4 a.m. It was so cold, I'm such an idiot. That is 100 times better than what most chatters are doing when they're in a rush. And it's easy because then they can say the same thing to everyone each shift. You're not going to say the same thing to people multiple times. You just come up with a new one each shift. Make the decision once, use it, a bunch of times, way better. Really quick, I hope you're taking value from the video so far. If you are, I would love it if you would just quickly leave it a like. It helps me out a lot. I drop videos like this multiple times a week, so if they help you, consider subscribing, share it with your friends, and if there are any problems that you are facing that I could make a video on to help you, leave it in the comments and I'll try to get to all of them. Thank you. Now, how do we actually chat fast? Well, we can't chat fast to everyone at the same time. That's why it's all about prioritization, knowing where to be fast to get the most money. And that all comes down to pinning your prospects. I've built my whole agency around managing pins. All that is on Inflow is if you right click and open them in a new tab, you can see who you are currently trying to sell. Creator Hero has something similar. I'm sure the rest do as well. It's really important. Chatters should be doing that the moment they think that they can try someone. Otherwise, they start transitioning and they forget about them and they leave them for 12 minutes. Think how distracted someone can get in 12 minutes. Once people are pinned, you want to rotate from left to right. So you've got your pins across here. Go Tom, Larry, Mark, back down, clear the 3 bottom chats in the chat log so people aren't sitting for too long, and then go back to your pins. So you're always clearing the old chats, looking for new people to pin, and managing your current pins. But you really want to avoid the one chat trap. Most new chatters will do it, just sit on one chat for ages because they feel like, oh, I'm about to make some money here. Send the message, move on to someone else. As long as they're pinned, you won't forget about it. And it's also really important that you remove the old pins of people, okay, he's not gonna buy, I've already sold him and we've given him aftercare, that's all done. Otherwise it gets congested and then it's all pointless. You need to be diligent with this. Here are the key moments where a chatter needs to be as fast as possible. When sending a pay-per-view, if you are selling someone a sexting sequence and you're about to send a pay-per-view, don't leave and start doing other shit, okay? Send it. If you're dropping the price for a custom or some other big ticket item, do it. Don't let people just sit there and wait. Objection handling. If someone's on the fence about buying something, waiting 7 minutes between each reply isn't gonna make them more likely to buy it. Go while they're still turned on and they're impulsive and they're more likely to buy. And new subscribers. Someone who has just subscribed needs attention to keep them on the platform. Otherwise, they're gonna go to Instagram and start scrolling garbage and not spending money. If your chatters can get really good at this, knowing where they need to be fast and how to get to as many people as possible, less will slip through the cracks, they'll make more money. It can help to treat chatting like a sport and have your chatters do drills and practice to get their speed up. One way you could do that is obviously with a typing test, getting them to improve their typing speed. But you can also do something that we call a rotation drill. Basically just simulating the chatting environment where they need to pin who they're talking to, move left to right, talking to multiple people. All you need to do is make multiple OnlyFans accounts, and then when you have a team meeting with your chatters, they can take turns doing the drill, talking to these multiple fake accounts. You just get your other chatters to log into them. Make it a game. Check Inflow to see who sent the most messages, give them an incentive. It's really good for new chatters to get them used to chatting in that flow. We've always gamified clearing the chats. So when there's heaps of chats in an inbox, we get chatters to go through and clear it as fast as possible. We just make it like a game. It's not official or anything, but it was something that I was really fast at, so I would just make it a funny competition. But just by mentioning like, oh, who can clear the chats the fastest? I'll give you fucking whatever. If they're used to doing that, when it matters, they're gonna be able to do it really quickly. You could even have like a leaderboard of who can do 20 chats the fastest. In all seriousness, when you're clearing the chats, which I'm actually very good at, you just need one more reply. You never want to have like a closed off dry response. You just need to be able to get them to say one more thing. So be friendly, use questions, and when you keep practicing, you can clear chats so fast. It helps with chatters getting overwhelmed because they know if they need to, they can clear the chats really quickly. You could even have competitions for caption writing, giving them a piece of content at random and seeing how fast they can make a caption for it. All these things just have a focus on speed. How fast can you be without the quality dropping a lot? Ingrain it in your agency culture, give them bonuses and incentives where you can, and chatters are gonna really wanna get faster. Now, as an agency owner or a chat manager, how do we actually teach speed in our chatters? In our agency, we do a lot of live training, actually sitting with the chatter and giving them feedback as they chat. And we used to have a bit of a debate between, is it better to make them get it 100% right and then make them fast, or make them fast and then get it 100% right? and the latter seems to be more efficient. When you get chatters to worry about every single tiny little detail, it's much harder to get them to pick up the pace because they're trying to do a good job. But if a good job is being fast, but you just constantly give them feedback, trying to get them better, in my experience, that works faster. You should be saying good enough a lot. If you just nitpick every tiny little detail all at the same time, they're gonna improve nowhere. Speed tends to be the number one constraint in chatters on higher traffic accounts. Sure, there are some absolutely dog shit chatters that can't even speak English, fine, but for most good chatters, if they were faster, they would make more money. That's why I would say speed should come first. Now, something for the agency owners and chat managers to work on themselves is your conversational skills. This is something that a lot of people overlook. But if you think about it, if you want your chatters to be fast and pick things up quickly, you need to be able to speak with clarity so they understand what you want them to do the first time. If you find yourself just rambling and going on tangents and all this sort of shit, your chatters aren't going to get better, they're just going to get confused. Now, obviously, this is a massive topic, but the person that I watch the most and I would recommend you watch as a manager or agency owner is Vinh Giang. This guy, if I can put him on here, otherwise it's in the description. 100% worth it, sounds random, do it. But two things that you can change right now that will make a difference is when you're giving chatters feedback or telling them to do something, make one point at a time. Don't go, oh yeah, so like the spelling and that's not very, oh, you could have transitioned faster. Oh, but don't do that. You're trying to train foreign VAs. They have no idea what you're talking about. Also pause. Don't just have these long stretches of spewing bullshit going on these long fucking tangents. They don't care. They're probably not absorbing any of it. Say less, pause, and they'll understand you more clearly. But watch Vinh Giang, 100% worth it. You want to be giving fast feedback to your chatters when you're live training them. Even if you can't, at least at the end of the shift, someone should be looking at what they've done and giving them feedback. I have an analogy where if you wanted to train a dog how to sit, if you go sit and give it a treat straight away, in about 5 tries, it'll know sit means sit down. But if you go sit, walk away for 15 minutes and come back and give it a treat, it's not going to learn how to sit. So the faster you can give a chatter feedback, the less feedback you're going to have to give them, the less repetitions. And as you're teaching, demonstrating just works great. Sure, it's a lot of effort. If you want chatters to be good at transitioning, transition yourself and show them. And then at the end of your training session, so live training, or even if you're doing a chat review, whatever medium you're using for giving them feedback, make them record their takeaways, the things that they're going to change, just to ensure that they have clearly understood what you're telling them to fix. Now, if you want a head start on standardizing your chatting process and giving your chatters the resources that they need to make less decisions, I've got an entire video with 20 different chatting transitions that you can use for yourself and speed things up. So watch that. That's there. Enjoy the rest of your day.